it all in his arm. He broke out.
Of the Summer Prosperity Series at Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. Think and Grow Rich. Are you ready to think and grow rich?
Yes.
Are you ready to grow rich?
Yes.
Are you ready to be rich?
Yes.
Are you ready to have more money than you know what to do with?
Yes.
Are you ready for the no's to turn into yeses?
Yes.
Are you ready for the closed doors to open?
Yes.
Are you ready to have it all?
Yes.
Do it all?
Yes.
Be it all?
Yes.
Get up out of your seats and do our prosperity together.
I, Martha, know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share, today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the Think and Grow Rich program of our center, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Those of you who have demonstrations to share of income coming in, money coming in, amazing things happening, come up, line up along the wall so that a lot of time is not spent between people, and share your goods.
You're up, Margaret.
I had another ring to me, and this time it's a 18 karat gold. I picked up a pair of pants at a thrift store, and I didn't even try them on, so I'm getting home, I put them on, I have to hem all my pants. And in the back of the pocket, 18 karat gold, looked it up online. It was made by a jeweler in New York, and if you were to buy a similar one today, $3,800.
$5.
Ring in her toilet. Hey, I've lost 2 rings recently. I'm just getting warmed up definitely because I gave out a loan, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and it was repaid the other day to the tune of $143.
Some of you know that I reached my dream of going into Peace Corps, and I'll be going to the Peace Corps a year from now. And I was feeling really good, and then my organization merged with another organization, and I found out that I had to reapply for my job. My first comment was, oh shit. So I ran to the back of the bus, and I got my intentions clear. And I wasn't sure I wanted to reapply, so I reapplied for my job. And the cutoff date was the 23rd of July. If you didn't get an interview by then, you didn't have a job. I let it go. And there are people here who would ask me, how's your job? I said, it's done. It's, whatever it is it. So on the 21st, I got a call saying they decided I didn't need to reapply. I could have the job. And on top of it, I got a raise.
Well, I found the other ring. It has 9 diamonds, but it's just silver. But nice. I've been doing an upgrade on my stuff, and last week I told you I got a new computer, Apple computer, brand new. And so this week I got the new printer. It just showed up out of the air. Really nice one, office jet wireless. And the big TV screen that I got last week, well, this week, I found this JVC theater with the beautiful speakers, 5 speakers, 5 little holes for the CDs, and I'm just rocking out. That's not all. We also got a new George Foreman grill because I didn't like that charcoal because my wife kept complaining about putting the stuff on it, and so she wouldn't let me put the stuff on it. And it came with a steak. These people just showed up and gave it to us. Okay, and oh yeah, we also got a new microwave for nothing. So that's it for today.
There it goes. Well, the first night after we did the walk, I think I shared that I had just lost my significant other in April and had some really interesting issues with his 2 daughters who came on me like I was going to steal the whole place. So I've had the youngest daughter, so she's still on my shoulder, you know, like in my imagination. And but in the meantime, you know, I did $150 and some work last week. And then this week, I got a $3,000 insurance adjustment from him. And then I also had 2 rings that he had given me, and they're worth around $12,000. So I just had those, you know, so it's very interesting because I wake up at 3 and 4 in the morning, and with this, you can't have this, this belongs to us, you know, it's just continuous, like this little voice. So I just say, buzz off. And so the biggest challenge is to accept it and to say that I deserve it. So that's the real, you know, in my old vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience from being a nun many years ago, the poverty thing still kind of hangs in there sometimes. So that just to break through that has really been a challenge.
Yay.
And to just say, I deserve it.
Well, perfect health and perfect happiness. Been on a journey, but today we had breakthrough at the physical therapist's office because we've been working on, when you have to stop and think about the mechanics of learning to walk again, so much that we take for granted. You bend the knee and plant the heel and lift on it and push off on the leg and the arms go, this arm goes this way and that arm goes that way. It's just, when you have to stop and think. But the thinking is getting there and the body's beginning, is listening, and it won't be long till these will be history.
And now you are a walker. I love you.
Yes. So I got this really awesome shirt that says "Best Day Ever" that I walked in tonight. Thank you, Dan and Carrie. And I also have been getting like free food everywhere, like really good like veggies and meat and fruit and like a whole bunch of stuff from the farmer's market. When I got home today, my fridge was full and I didn't even have to go shopping for it. And then I also I picked up this babysitting client a few months ago, and they paid me $20 an hour to watch their 3 kids under 5. Like I totally earned the $20 an hour. But they love me and they want me as much as they can get me. Basically, I tell them the nights I have available and they book me for all of them. So that's really awesome.
Anybody else? Come
also, today I was working from home and I realized that there was one thing I forgot to mention that was really awesome that I manifested, which was free cleaning service. So they come twice a month. And so today as I was at my kitchen table working diligently, 2 people were cleaning all my bathrooms and taking care of the house.
Anybody else? Do you feel the energy in the room? Do you have something? Well, come up, Sandy.
I do.
Give her a moment.
She has some props.
Well, come on up. You got somewhere to share? Come on up.
I had a lovely 3-day weekend further west in North Carolina, and it was all free.
I got a statement from my savings account, and I'm pretty diligent about what my in and out is and all that in a spreadsheet, and I had $50 more than, the statement was $50 more than I had in my spreadsheet, which was really cool. And then one of the things we talk about is tithing our time, and I have a dear friend in Solace, which is the hospice house, and I do balloon art, and I showed up as the balloon fairy, and serendipitously ended up doing balloons for quite a few people at Solace, which was such a gift for me. And I just had a very interesting thing happen. Because I'm staying overnight at Solace, I'm tired because they wake them up every 2 hours. And I'm like Mother Bear. Every time someone walks in the door, I'm like, who's there? And I went up to the credit union, and when I was backing out, I backed into a car. And interestingly enough, that car was just got a loan for the lady that was in the passenger seat, and the driver was the man that owned the car lot down the road, and he just kind of buffed out the little mark that I left on his car, and he's like, yeah, it probably looks okay, I'll call you later. And then my car had a decent dent in it, and when I got home, I was sitting in the carport, and I thought, you know what, just like Barbara kind of holds those letters before she opens them, I'm gonna just look at my car in a different point of view, and maybe I don't have a dent, and maybe my car's okay. And it was really interesting to get out, and I don't have a dent. I just need to buck out a few little marks. And the coolest thing is, I just love gardenias, and this lovely lady, she has no idea what a treasure it is. And last week I got one, and I cried because the gardenia to me is like motherly love, and every time I hug her, I just feel it. So thank you so much.
Well, number one, I made it. I actually had done some work on the side, doing something I love, for someone I love. They overpaid me a bit, so here you go. And I also had a healing while I was doing that work, doing something I love for someone I love.
Yay.
So I'm blessed all the way around.
Hi, I'm Ann Lux. I went away for the weekend for a business trip, drove to Kansas City. And, you know, it was kind of budgeting what kind of money we need for gas and everything and for food. We kind of figured, maybe we can get away with $100 for food. Well, my traveling partner, coming from Tennessee, meeting me in Nashville, brought all these vegetables from her garden and a crock pot. So every morning of that conference, we got up early, we chopped our vegetables, we put them in the crock pot. I bought 2 meals in 5 days because we ate all this yummy homegrown food. I will also very quickly say that you really do have to be careful of what you say. The first night we were staying at her daughter's, and I was going to be sleeping on an air mattress, and I like a nice firm mattress. I want, you know, solid mattress. And this air mattress was really soft. I said, you know what, if you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, be careful. I may just be sleeping on the floor next to the air mattress because I want something harder. Well, the air mattress had a leak. And so by the time I woke up, a few hours later, I had a sheet of plastic between me.
Come on, if you're gonna share, come on up.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble. But I haven't got one thin dime. So, I'm like, when when Barbara told us to fill out the contract, and I was one of those ones that night that did not fill it out because I had to think about what was it that I was going to give. And what's been happening to me is that I first of all learned how very selfish I was, and I asked God, please show me how I can give myself. And every 4 days, something comes up that I have to give, whether it's money or it's time, and I've been able to make a commitment doing that. And so I feel like that I'm getting spiritual abundance instead of wealth, but I'm hoping I'm gonna get some money sometime, but right now, none.
Have you filled out your contract?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good. Well, keep your eyes open. Money's right here. Money is all around you. Money is everywhere. Those of us in this class that haven't seen our money yet, we've just walked by it. That's all. So open up your eyes, take a peek, and watch it show up. Wilma, are you coming up to share? If you're going to come up to share, please come up now because I'm going to close this line.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I made my money for my work today, so hold on to that. Hold your hand out.
So we have a wonderful class tonight. There are a couple of housekeeping things that I want to bring up. One is that we have got this great 10-year-old cockatiel in a giant cage with toys and food and everything. And he found the center. We gave him sanctuary for about 8 or 9 years. He was about a year or two old when he showed up. And he will go on to a different home if someone from this community does not want him. So we talked about him on Sunday, and I'm bringing him up again because the next step is Craigslist. And I believe that he's always in his perfect and right place, doing his little Piper thing. He likes to hop on arms and sit on shoulders and heads and sing and all of that. And he's got quite an amazing story that goes with him. So if you're interested in Piper the Pied Cockatiel, complete with all of his stuff, and he's a religious science nerd, so he has a lot of stuff, then let me know after the class because the next step is that we're going to go to Craigslist and see where his perfect and right place is. Also, there have been people who said, I want to volunteer my time to the Center for Spiritual Living. You said that last week, and we did a phone blitz, and what came up was, well, if you have a project, let me know. So I want you to know we have a number of projects. We have projects of repairing damaged walls in the school before school starts, which means spackle, maybe some drywall, definitely some painting over there. We have projects, is Amy in the room? Kate Grayson? We have projects outside that include any and everything that have to do with fresh air, sunshine, and dirt. And we have inside projects that are with Nancy Walton, who is in the room somewhere. She's back in the back, in terms of office-y kinds of things. And what I want to do is, those of you who are all about floors, look down. I want to wax this floor. This floor has not been waxed for 5 years.
I would love to do that.
Great, well, I'm thinking tomorrow we could get together, take all the tables and chairs out of here, and do a final cleaning on the floor, and then put 4 coats of wax on it over Wednesday and Thursday when nobody is in the room. Any of you who want to tithe your time, does anybody want to come wax the floor? 1, 2, does not a floor waxing make? If you want to wax it next week or the week after? No. Okay, great. I love you all very much. Yes?
I'll come.
Tomorrow?
Sure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. If anybody changes your mind, if God talks to you in the middle of the night and says, go wax the floor. Okay, tomorrow morning
Tomorrow I can't do it. If you can't do it tomorrow and you're going to do it the next week, I can be
all right. All right. I have negotiations going on. Okay, Kristen.
We can probably move the tables and chairs tonight.
Yeah, but
That's right.
I'm not going to wax it. only if we're going to wax it. So those are some projects, because when we called you, you said, well, I don't really want this or this or this, I want a project. I want to come together as a group and do something. So those are your 4 choices of projects. Yes, Kathy?
We also need more volunteers in the kitchen for the Sundays.
We don't need them. We have wonderful opportunities for people to rub butts in the kitchen and smell like baked goods and have exciting, wonderful experiences. But a word of caution, people have fallen in love in the kitchen. Thank you.
So
And
do we have a floor waxing project tomorrow? We do not.
no,
How
no.
many people do you need?
Oh, I would need at least 4. Right now I have 2.
No, what do you need?
What time?
Eric's not tomorrow.
What's fine for the floor waxing tomorrow?
I'm good at 10.
You're good all the time, but.
So you need the break if you want to. We'll see what's going on. And tonight, here's your reading list. As of tonight, you should be up to chapter 8, but John's going to go ahead into chapter 9. And next week is our chapters 10 and 11. And then the week after that is 12 through 14. So that's your reading schedule for the rest of the class. I love you all very much. I am so glad you're home.
Glad to be here. Yay. Hello, prosperous people. Yay. So, are you learning stuff from this Hill material?
Totally.
Yeah, good. Keep reading it. I'm going to do chapters 8 and 9 tonight, and we're going to do, who has to absolutely leave here at 9 o'clock? Can't stay 9:15. Oh, good, we're going to stay till 9:15. Get my time back. All right. Wonderful. So here's the deal. We're going to do, very quickly, we're going to talk about chapters 8 and 9, just to make sure you have my take on it, and then we're going to put it into practice. So chapter 8 is on the subject of decision. Hill says that decision is one of the things you need to be able to do, and the way he describes it, he says you must decide quickly and then slowly change anything that you make a decision on. Well, I had a thing with my Native American teacher many years ago. He didn't like the word decide or decision. And his point's well made. That word comes from the Latin. And what it literally means is to cut off. Side, insecticide. You know, that idea of separating or killing something. So that you know, what it technically means is that you're going to kill all the other ideas except the one that you're going to keep. Now that's, you know, there may be something powerful in that, but what he suggested, and I've gone with since then, is don't decide, choose. Make a choice. So this isn't about making hell wrong, but this is just something that I've learned about this. So what I do is when I have a direction to go in my life, I make a choice. That's my commitment into some action, into some outcome, and by making that choice, I have a direction, and I'm clear. Now, if somewhere down the road, and the point that Hill makes is, don't be listening to all kind of people about what you should be doing in your life. And I agree with that. I agree with that because a lot of people, not everybody, not you, but a lot of people think they know what's best for you. And they will tell you. And they will expect you to act on that. And I want you to know, I agree with Hill, don't listen to that. You know on the inside what you're supposed to do. But don't struggle with it. I mean, Hill makes a good point there. Choose quickly. Choose your direction. And as you're moving along there and you have the outcomes show up because of the direction you've chosen, if you're not pleased with that and you want to make a variation of that, make it. Make a new choice. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, these people that go in one direction and then make a 180 into another direction and then 180 into something else gets old. But the idea of choosing is truly a spiritual action. If you choose to move in a direction in your life, to do something, to create something, to have some outcome, that is a powerful move. So I encourage you to make your choices, make them clearly, as he says, make them quickly. On page 209, he said, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm using the word choice, keep your own counsel, to make your own choices and follow through on them. So you make a choice, and that's not a point of inaction. That's not just a thought. That's actually a commitment. So you choose to move in a direction, commit to move in that direction until it no longer works. That's the point he makes in that chapter. In the 9th chapter, he talks about persistence. Persistence is also a great word. It actually comes from the Latin persistentem, meaning lasting, enduring, and permanent. Nothing's permanent. The idea is that being persistent keeps you on a path. There's another word that I like. It's perseverance. Very similar word, different in the Latin, perseverantia, meaning steadfast or constancy. I love the idea of constancy. I've found in my life that when I do keep changing my direction, I have a certain amount of success, but then I change it and I move on to something else. And I do that for a while and then I change it and do something else. That stopped when I found the science of mind. I got real clear, this is my path, this is my work. And it's turned out pretty well for me. So I like the idea of persevering, and what that means to me, perseverance, and I use that often in my treatment work, with the idea that perseverance is like, not everything in my life is telling me that this is the right path. There are challenges, there are bumps, there are dips, there are things going on. But I'm going to persevere through all of that minutia to get where I want to go. For example, bringing two science of mind organizations together was not a cakewalk. A lot of people resisted it. Well, many of the first people I talked about said it would never happen. So that's what I was looking at, but my intention was clear. And even though people said that, I persevered through that. I did my treatment work every day, and I went out and did what I could to make that happen, and by golly, it happened. So in your life, not everything is going to tell you that where you're going is the right direction. You'll have all kinds of little things pop up, especially if you're one that shares this with just anybody, what your intention is in life. If you do, there will be people that think that's the wrong direction for you, and if you're going to listen to them, it's going to wobble your path. But if you make a choice and you stick with it, unless you absolutely find that this does not touch your heart and cause your heart to sink, if it doesn't, then you want to change directions. There's nothing wrong with that. But every time you change directions, it's a starting over process. In Native American spirituality, it means you go back to the east, the place of new beginnings. Nothing wrong with new beginnings, but they're really beginnings, which means you're starting over where you want to go. So if you can stay on a path that's really feeding you, even the idea when you get up in the morning it's still feeding you, keep doing it. Keep doing it, even when the things look a little funky around it. It's really okay. This has really been an important thing in my life to understand. And like I said, once we left Miami with the idea that we were still very much in this faith, we spent a lot of time in a different community, but I was held that we were going to create some kind of a community. Didn't push. Barbara wasn't ready. Well, when she was ready, though, that's all it took. And 20 years ago this January, is when we started it in our living room. And we have this beautiful campus now, and the work that we do is phenomenal. So that's what I'm saying. Stick with it. Stick with whatever it is you've got to do. That's the idea of perseverance for me. On page 230, it says, every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. Let me read it again because that's really profound to me. Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. And I don't really believe in failure, but I sure know what it feels like when something didn't turn out the way I expected it to. And what Hill is saying here is so profound to me. In that thing that didn't work out is something that is so valuable if you can see it. That's the basis of our teaching, is that God is all there is. So in that mess of a failure, and Rocky Bear used to say to me, if you're going to screw up big. If you've got something that looks messy, nasty, ugly, whatever it is, God's in the midst of that. Don't walk away until you see God. And when you can find that, as we often sometimes call it, the pony, God is the pony. When you can find that in the mess you're looking at, then you've gotten the gift. That's your mental equivalent. Move on. But don't step away till you've gotten it. I hear people all the time saying, I just want to get out of this relationship, or I just want to get out of this job. I don't want this anymore. I got to get away from this. But you got to be willing to look at it and see what is the gift in that for you. What is the thing that you could take from all of the anguish and suffering and stuff you've gone through? You're going to walk away the loser? No, walk away with the gem. That's the gift. There's something there for you. So don't let anything be a failure to where you walk away empty. No such thing. No such thing. That just means you weren't willing to look. So be absolutely clear in your looking. So we've got decision or choice, and we've got persistence or perseverance. These are incredible elements, and I want to bring them together tonight. Some of you have done this work with me in years past. Well, I'm going to work you pretty hard tonight. I'm going to ask you to do some very, very intimate internal work tonight around a structure that I've been using and teaching for years, and it has to be on your life. This isn't about doing anything the way we're all going to do it. It's about filling in. I'm going to create a vessel for you tonight, and you're going to fill it with your life, and you're going to look at it. The beginning point is this choice making. You're going to choose and identify what's important in your life and where you're going. Many of you already know, but you haven't maybe put it together quite as solidly as we're going to start tonight. Now, what I'm going to give you is about a 2-day workshop in the next hour and 45 minutes, which means you're really going to have to pay attention. You're going to have to think fast. Okay? You're going to have to listen fast. These are 2 very important books in my life. This is where I keep my my cell phone and my glasses and some, not as much as I used to, but I keep written information. I keep lots of credit cards and cards, so that thing is full of that. But what I keep in here that is beyond that is information that reminds me who I am. I have a statement of purpose. I have my values lined up. And I look at this pretty regular. You know, when I go in this book, this calls to me. So I have to have it close or I wouldn't. If I put it away somewhere, if I put it in a file, I'd never look at it again. So I have to keep it with me. And this book's with me wherever I go, whatever I'm doing, I got this book in it. At the beginning of it, the very first pages in here are some information that I'm going to teach you how to find in you. That's what we're going to do. The exact same information is in this book. This is my prayer book. This is the book I pick up in the morning when I sit with Barbara. And it's time to do my treatment. And many of you that are members of this center know that Barbara and I get a list of members every week. And cards go out that I sign mine, and Barbara does hers, and we send these out to you. And if you're a member of the center, you go at least quarterly, I believe, on one of our treatment lists, and we hold you and do prayer work around you and other people in the morning. That's what that list looks like. Okay? What's at the beginning of it? The exact same stuff that's in my planner. So that when I pick this up in the morning, I have a chance to look and remember who I am and what my life is about. So this information is sacred to me. It really helps me focus. The science of mind is all about thinking. It's about impressing on the mind of God that which is important to us. So to do that, we have to think it. We have to think it regularly. And we have to act on it. It's not just about thinking. We have to act on it. But you've got to have it down so that you can refer to it and use it as a resource. So we have these 2 books that we use. Where do we start with this? We start with the idea of purpose. Who does not have a pen? Everybody got a pen in the room? Oh, that's pretty good, guys. So, thank you. Just make sure, whoever raised their hand when Barbara comes back, make sure you get a pen, because you're going to write a bunch tonight. The first thing we're going to work on is your purpose. You're going to get a purple or lavender sheet. It's very simple. It's coming to you. It's got a place on the top of your name. How exciting. And the next line says, my purpose is to, and then it's got a big blank. So while these sheets of paper are coming to you, I want to share some thoughts on purpose. Let me tell you my story of purpose. When I was in my early 20s and I lived in Houston, Texas, I went to my first public seminar. I paid, $150. I thought it was a fortune. And I went and sat in a big ballroom at a hotel in Houston, Texas. And this guy from, he was a Mormon, he was from Utah, came, and it was a time management course. Wonderful, it's called Time Power, I remember. He didn't talk about time much at all. But what he did say is you got to have your purpose written down in a statement. And he gave us the parts of that, and all the while I'm going, what's yours? And during a break I went up and I actually looked at his book, and I stole his purpose. Which you can't do, you know, but I took it and I started playing with it to figure mine out, because I wasn't quite sure how to do this. And I played with it, I came up with something. And after a while I realized that just wasn't me. And then I got infatuated with a guy named Robert Schuller. Robert Schuller, he has a great mission statement, and I don't remember the whole thing, but I know it has to do with seeing the invisible, creating something out of nothing, which he did in a big way. And I thought, there's something in there for me, so I started playing with his and trying to write it. Didn't stick. And when I figured out it wasn't sticking was when somebody asked me what my purpose was. And I said, hold on, I'll go get it. That's not how it works. It's yours when you know. Now, I'm not saying that whatever you come up with, how many of you have a purpose statement? Okay, great. We're going to find some other people tonight. More of you tonight are going to begin this journey into finding your statement of purpose. Language is limited, but still, not to use it, not to have a phrase, a sentence that speaks to who you are in the world, doesn't give you any course direction. No any course direction. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why do I get up in the morning? If it's to make money, bless your heart, you're lost. That's not why we're here. There are, what, 7 billion of us on this planet right now? The studies that have been done with our space program and looking at how the cosmos is organized, they pretty much determined that there's enough planets out there we can each have our home. But that's not the way it's organized. The way it's organized is we're all stuck here on this planet together. Why? To be with one another, to learn from one another, to be in service to one another. We're here for some important reason that's just about us. And everyone in this room and everyone on this planet is here for a specific reason. So let's find it. Let's put it into words. And that's a little scary because it feels like it's confining, but it's not. It's directing. So what I want to ask you to do tonight, if you don't have a purpose statement, is to begin finding one. My purpose is to reveal and release the power of divine presence wherever I am and in whatever I do. When I said that the first time to myself, bam, that's it. That's why I'm here. I never had to read it again. My purpose is to reveal and release the power of divine presence wherever I am and in whatever I do. And when I look at my life, when my life has worked, that's what I was doing. And when I was not doing that, my life was miserable. My life is about that. That's why I'm here. And those of you that know me closely, know that's who I am. That's what I'm here. I'm always lifting people up and saying, you can do it. Whatever it is, your dream, you can create that. And I'm not making it up. I believe it to the core of my being. And I have very little patience with people that claim they can't. And I'll work with you for a while, but if you can't do that, I'll love you. I'll love you, but I'm not going to get in your way. If you want to have a miserable life, you can have it. I'm not going to get in your way, but I believe in your divine presence. So I know what you can do. Or at least I have a sense of what you can do. So let's talk about what this sentence could be. Everybody's got a lavender sheet. I want to two things here that I love to talk about. Many of you have heard me talk about this before. This is one of my favorites. It's not my purpose statement, but I love it. It's Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity. Have you heard this? I love this. I fairly sizzle with a zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. I mean, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do it all the way. Golly. And you wonder how that guy created a worldwide faith movement. Brilliant. Here's another great story that I love to share from a study at Yale University in the 1930s. Yale University, Ivy League, rich kids go there, get a degree, go out into the world. You think all of them would be successful. Well, they did a study and they asked the graduates, do you have a purpose? Do you have a sense of where you're going? And some said yes and some said no. The ones that said yes, 30 years later, were the captains of industry, were great political leaders, were the people that were making a difference in the world. And the ones that said no, pretty much across the board hadn't done much with it. There's something to this. There's something to this. So I invite you to get on the bandwagon of this. Jim Carrey, I don't have the year, but early in his acting career, he wrote out a $10 million check. He put it in his billfold. You know, he didn't have $10 million, but he wrote it to himself. And of course, when he did Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, one of the stupidest movies ever made. They paid that man $10 million. Don't tell me we don't create our outcomes. We do. Yes?
If you go on YouTube, he just did a commencement graduation speech. That was amazing. He just Google that, Jim Carrey, and it's all...
Jim Carrey's an amazing guy, absolutely. A purpose statement is a clearly defined proclamation of personal responsibility that articulates an individual lifelong direction for being. A purpose statement is a clearly defined proclamation of personal responsibility that articulates an individual's lifelong direction and reason for being. That's what a purpose is. One sentence, not 3 sentences, 1 sentence. My purpose is to, and what you've got down there is a line of sentence. So I invite you to begin the journey. Now, do you have to keep this forever? Of course. But if you don't write something down, I want to tell you, you never will. So you're going to write something down on the purple paper to begin the process of looking at this. What would it be? What could it be? What would your purpose be for being here?
John, can you read that sentence one more time?
The statement of purpose is a clearly defined proclamation of personal responsibility that articulates our individual lifelong direction and reason for being. As you're thinking, let me give you some other ideas around this. As we said, it's 1 sentence, so it's concise. The intention is to capture the spirit of your life, to reveal your passion. It has to be understandable, even by a 12-year-old. You need to be able to say it, and a 12-year-old goes, I get it. It's a collaboration of your heart and your mind. If you do it all in your head, you're going to miss it. If you do it all in your heart, you're going to miss it. You've got to do both to bring them together. It's as clear and concise as an epitaph. And not tonight, but someday soon, you'll be able to say it from memory because it's just so clear. Here's what it's not. It's not your job. Just don't write your job down. 80% of people say they're not in the perfect job. Job should align with purpose, but it's not your job. Your role in life is not your purpose. Being a parent, a partner, a friend, a boss, not your purpose. Something greater than that. Your accomplishments are not your purpose. Your purpose is greater. Your purpose is a direction, not a destination. Your purpose never gets achieved and completed, not a goal. Your purpose is the thing that you use as the litmus test for every action you ever take. When you're doing it, you're joyful, happy, and fulfilled. When you're not, you're not. Give it a go. Write something down.
John, I
Yes.
didn't listen fast enough. What's the proclamation of? It's the proclamation of?
The statement again?
It's reason for being, but I want, what's the proclamation of?
A clearly defined proclamation of personal responsibility. It articulates our individual lifelong direction and reason for being. Still some writing going on. Anybody need more time? Okay. Some Who wants to share their statement of purpose? Me? Yes, sir.
My name is Dwight Alden Butner. My purpose.
Would you stand up? I can't
Oh,
hear you.
sure. Okay. My name is Dwight Alden Butner. My purpose is to learn and take the things I've learned and use them for the benefit of all, including myself.
Very nice. Who else? Yes, Chuck.
My name is Chuck Hunter. My purpose is to serve as the spiritual leader, making love real.
Thank you. Sandy.
My name is Sandy Kaysen. My purpose is to love as much and many as possible in sharing my truth in music and joy.
Very nice. Yes.
My name is Stephanie. My purpose is to stay close to God, listening and acting on His guidance.
Okay. Yes, Eric.
My name is Eric Nordson. My purpose is to touch the lives of thousands of people by offering products and services that touch people's lives for the better. You know, that's kind of a rough draft.
That's a start. Good for you. So, anyone else want to share theirs right quick? Yes.
My name is Nancy Lee Miller. My purpose is to create sacred space for growth in the dynamic flow of life with everyone I meet.
Okay, let's give those a hand. Those that let's talk about the blue sheet that you have. This is a big project we're about to enter into. It's called Setting Your Values. There are 3 columns. We're only working in the left-hand column. I want you to write down the things in your, not the people, not the objects, the values that you hold sacred in your life. The values that you hold sacred in your life. What values are of great importance? I'll give you one that's going to be on pretty much everybody's list. It's love. Okay? You don't have to put it in the first spot, but you can. So write down what it is that you hold as sacred, that you live your life by. What values are the most important? See how many you can get in the next 5 minutes. You can't do, this isn't wrong. We're gonna, and that the reason we have 3 columns is we're gonna clean it up as we go. But right now, let's get a raw list of ideas of what you would hold as sacred. Not a person. Person's not a value. These are principles or standards you live by. I see some people getting close to the bottom of the list, the spaces there. Stop when you get to the bottom. We have many things that we value. We're looking for the ones that arise into the top in your thoughts right now. stimulate some of you that haven't gotten to the bottom yet. Peace, freedom, adventure, joy. Honesty, intelligence, integrity, those kinds of things. Those are values. Okay, everybody doing well here? Yeah. Great. So what you've got is a raw list. There's going to be things on it that may change here in just a minute. We're going to do an exercise, and you're going to require a partner. So right now, find your partner. You don't have to move anywhere. Just point to each other and know who's working good. Okay? So who doesn't have a partner? Everybody got a partner? Don't ask. Yes. Okay. Do you still need a partner? Okay, so you guys are going to work together. Lisa, you don't have a partner? Why don't you two guys work together? Okay? Yes. Lisa, there you go. All right. So Laura has a list here, and we're going to do hers in front of everybody. This is you're going to learn how to do it, buddy. So Laura, is this on or on? So you're going to call them out so everybody can hear. I'm going to write them on here. So what's your first one? Just give it right down the list. Truth. Honesty.
Beauty, freedom, courage, love, connection, laughter, peace, harmony, nature.
So the first thing I want to do, Laura, is I want you to tell me if this is a value by me asking you a question. What do you get when you're in nature?
I feel really good.
Describe the goodness of it.
I feel happy and peaceful and connected. It lifts my spirit.
Okay, so peace. Is nature in peace? Are they the same thing? When you experience nature, because nature is not a value. Nature is a place. So when you're experiencing nature, are you experiencing peace or more joy, or what? What is the value of that experience to you? What do you get? Okay, so I'm going to take nature off here. What happened to there? And we're going to put happiness, okay? Now, I think harmony, peace. Now, laughter. When you're laughing, what are you getting? Happiness? Good, that's fine. So happiness and laughter really are laughter is contained in happiness. Good. Don't need that one anymore. Actually, I should have just put a line through it, so I'll do that. Okay, connection to God. What do you experience when you feel connected to God? Love. So there it is, right there, right next to it. Isn't that perfect? So the whole idea of love and God being love and all is right there, right? Okay, so we don't need this one. We got love. Courage, freedom, beauty, compassion, honesty, and truth. Those are all values. Those are words that you can't go beyond that. That when you get to that, when you get to love, what do you experience when you have love? Love. That's all as far as you can go, so it's a core value. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Great. So here's what I'm going to do. Can you tell me off that list right now what is the most important one on the list? No, no, you answer for her. You answer for you. Honesty is the most important. So here's what I'm going to do. On number 2 list, I'm going to write honesty. And I'm going to cross it out over here because we did it. Okay.
May I ask a question real quick on this, just because I don't know the difference between truth and honesty?
Well, do you believe that truth and honesty are different things? Okay.
Honesty is putting it out there and not lying.
Okay. We'll play with it further, but right now let's go with this. So, what is more, if we take honesty and put it over there, now I want to know between truth and compassion, which one is more important to you? Truth or compassion? Okay, what's more important? Now watch what I'm doing, everybody. Compassion or beauty? What's more important, beauty or freedom? Just let it come.
Beauty.
What's more important, beauty or courage?
Courage.
What's more important, courage or love? What's more important, love or peace? Love or peace? Just, it doesn't matter, just give it a go. Peace is love? In your mind, peace is love? Which one is contained in the other? What's the bigger concept? Okay, so what's more important? Well, then we're going to take love off the list because it's contained right there. So love's off the list. Peace contains love for you. Your definition, that's all that's important right now. What's more important, peace or harmony? Or is harmony contained in peace? It's in peace, isn't it? So we're going to take that off too because it's in there. So what's more important, peace or happiness? Happiness, we got all the way to the bottom of the list. And happiness, well, that's right, it's good. We learned a lot. So happiness is the second most important value for you today. So we're going to put happiness over here. And the one that we had before happiness, which now has moved, was peace. And peace was higher valued in your thinking than anything else on the list. Did you see that happen? Because every time I asked you when we got down here, that was the next one, and then happiness was yet higher on the list, so the next one on the list is peace. So that can come off. So now we go back, and I'm not sure how this was, but so let's start here. What's more important, beauty or freedom? Beauty or freedom? What's more important? Beauty. What's more important, beauty or courage? Courage. Okay, courage is next. What's more important? You said beauty or freedom is beauty, so beauty's next. Beauty's off. What's more important, compassion or freedom?
This is hard because freedom is pretty important, but compassion is.
You can put it right next to each other. You just which one goes on top of the other one? Just slightly. Just go, whatever comes.
Compassion.
Compassion it is. What's more important, truth or freedom? Truth. Now, these are by your definition, not by anybody else. This is just your list. So what we've done is we've synthesized this down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yay. So these, today, a snapshot of your thinking, the way your life is organized, these are the most important values in your life. Is anything missing that comes to you in this moment?
I'm just trying to put around my head that peace is and love is.
You want to put love on there too? Okay, where do you want it to go? Between what and what?
I want it right there with peace.
So, you want it here? I don't want to put it here because that's confusing. Let it be above or below. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt a thing. Okay, so love goes here. Very nice. Okay, excellent. In fact, when words are close like that, and you have them right next to each other, that's a good thing. Because there's no conflict. All right? So let's look at this list for a second. These are the things, when you have them fully expressed in your life is wonderful. Isn't it? Yeah, okay. So that's your job, is to make sure that this is your life. And we're going to go through a process that'll do that. But what we've got here is we've got a list of 9 that in an order, and all I want to do is very quickly look at them again and see if they're all compatible with each other. Because they need to get along if they're that close, right? And I think that's a great list. So that's your list for the middle of your exercise here, okay? So you work on taking it off the board. Did everybody kind of get how this works? So what you want to do is exchange sheets and have your partner actually fill in your prioritized list, the second one in the middle. That's where you're going to work from right now. And you do that by identifying the first one, identifying the highest priority, and then going through the process from the top to see what is the most, number 2, that's most priority in your life. Go ahead.
Come on back.
Okay, let's take a couple minutes and talk about anybody that got stuck. Anybody not able to work through the exercise? Any questions in a row? Mike? Okay, what's your question? Okay. I don't know about your. Okay, well, we went through it, and yeah, there's a lot to figure out here. I've been doing this so long, it just comes to me naturally. But the idea is, what are the most important things in your life? And there's value to having them as a list of priorities, because they're relationships between your values. Here's one that is my classic thing. Somebody puts love first, and then they put freedom next. Now, in this case, I got love here and freedom here. There's lots of thought and action between them. All right, so freedom is a lesser value than love. That's clear. But when you have them like this, that means somebody's saying, I want to be loved and appreciated in my life. I don't want to be able to do anything I want to do whenever I want to do it.
Yes!
You may find that some of your relationships aren't working out the way you thought they would. The idea here is to have a hierarchy of thought, so that if something is struggling down here a little bit, that's okay, because you've got all this stuff working. Here's the point of having values. They are not things to be achieved. These are not things to be achieved. These are to be things that you already have in your life all the time. The idea is that your value system supports you. It doesn't challenge you, it supports you. So you don't, if you have things on your list of values, make sure you've got your list back. If there are things on there that you aspire to, you are setting yourself up. Stop it. Make a choice. Either have that thing right now in your life all the time, or mark it off and let it go. Because what people do is they think, well, I have a high value of honesty, which means that I really get pissed off when you lie to me. Well, great. And then you're creating a relationship with people, that are lying to you. You're setting yourself up. That's not what values are about. Values are resources. They are the things that you set as priorities in your life that you can demonstrate are happening all the time. Am I starting to make sense? Yes, Susan.
So what if there's something I believe that I'm aspiring to and for and that I want, and it wound up the last thing on my list?
Yay, you're figuring it out. It's not a value, it's a goal. It's something you seek to achieve, but it's not your value. And the fact that it's a bottom of the list demonstrates that beautifully.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, so
It works.
you know, when we get into looking at things you want to create, put it there. You know, but right now, you want all your values showing up in your life all the time. Yeah, let me demonstrate. Let me show you how mine work. Whoops, went too far. Okay. Here's how we're going to do it. Y'all got the yellow sheet?
Yes.
Okay, so look at the yellow sheet for a second. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to hand out another that goes through 12 in case you need a second page. But don't worry about that right now because you got plenty to do on this page. So number 1, so what's your first value? If by chance your first value was love, you want to make an affirmation on that line using the word, the concept of love. How does that express in your life as an affirmation? Mine is, I am always aware of love. I am always aware of love. Because I don't think that I give love and get love. That's my personal understanding of the concept of love, is that it is the absolute presence of the divine, and it's always here. So my job, if it's always here, is to be aware of it. So that's the way I state mine. I'm not trying to tell you how to state yours. I'm just saying that's what works for me. So mine says, I am always aware of love. And then I have 3 statements. And you'll notice that I wrote it on your sheet to say every time. That's the way I was taught to do it, is to say every time. And the point of every time is, oh, it's happening a lot. So mine would say, I am always aware of love. And then on the first bullet underneath, it says every time I remember to be, I got to restate it from the way mine reads. I am always aware of love every time I remember the divine presence that I am. Every time I experience the beauty of life around me. Every time I open my heart. You know, for me, those are things that the ways that, and how often do I do that? I try to do it every day. And that's part of who I am, right? So under love, those kind of things come up. Let me just read you some of mine. And mine doesn't say every time. You don't have to use every time. That's where I started with it, and it really did help me realize that I want this stuff happening all the time in my life. So my first one is I live my purpose by being fully present in the now moment, by being aware of the perfection of my life, by supporting the spiritual awakening of others. That's my thing. That's my first one, is living my purpose. My second one was love, as I went through. My third one, somebody asked me about impeccable. Right. So mine says I live impeccably. And that's by making certain that my thoughts, my words, and my actions are in alignment with each other and with my purpose. And by taking complete responsibility for the circumstances of my life. That's being impeccable to me. I don't find that hard anymore. I find that's the way I want to be in the world. And then my next one is I live in enthusiasm, because enthusiasm is an important idea in my life, an important value, by being open to all the possibilities of life, by sharing my joyous heart with others, and by expanding and deepening my experience of life. So the point of having values is you're going to demonstrate on these lines that it's showing up all the time, that it's easy. Every time this happens, I'm experiencing my value. So what I want you to do is go through your list, take that first word, and create a very, very short affirmation. And if you see something on your list that you're not experiencing, it's a value you want to get from other people, you're disempowering yourself. Let it go. Let it go. It's not serving you. It's making life hard. It's making, if you have things popping at you all the time that you hold as a high value, and you're demonstrating over and over again in your life that you're not getting that, and you're setting yourself up to be miserable. The idea of this process is to show you that life is supporting you all the time. That you've created a life and a set of values that you easily, joyously have in your life every day. So work on the first 2 or 3 of these. I don't expect you to do them all. But write some stuff down for the first 2 or 3 to get the process going.
I kind of experienced that different values show up for me in different circumstances.
Yes. Yes. But if you're being reactive to your life, then you're going to just bump into stuff as you bump into it. This is an opportunity to start structuring the highest things in your life. And we did a snapshot tonight. In 6 weeks, there may be some changes to this. Keep looking at it. Keep studying it. Keep reconsidering it. Consider adding something or taking something off. Keep it alive for you. It's very organic. And what you'll find is you get to a point where, okay, I started mine list over 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Yeah, almost 40 years ago. I changed one of them last week. But think about it. Isn't that wonderful that you're in the process of what's important in your life all the time? So this is not a list to just carve into granite. It's a list to keep looking at, keep thinking about. How's this changing? What's different? What doesn't resonate with me on this list anymore? What line, just a line under one of the values may not work anymore. What I actually did was I moved a line from one value to another. Because I thought, life is better here. And it keeps you so alive with this idea of what's important. Just 2 or 3. You don't have to do them all the time. And don't let this disturb you, but I'm going to go ahead and just send that second sheet around so you've got it. You're not going to write on it tonight, but you've got it.
So John, one of those people that have freedom.
And love is number 1? Look at it. Figure out how that works for you. Maybe it does. Maybe in your definition of freedom and love, it works. So just consider that. But if you see you have 2 values that bump up against each other and don't resonate, then, well, if they resonate for you, let it be. That's fine. But that's just a classic idea. You know, I want to be able to get on my motorcycle anytime I want, but I want her to love me. When a guy says that, you know, maybe things aren't working out the way, you know, it's not going to be thought through it. Yes? No, but if you came up and opened that book, I would say. Stay with the process, guys. You're beginning this process so that you can take it with you, and if you are so inclined, spend your own time developing this list. Even when I've done this as a multi-day workshop, still it changes, so there's no way it ever gets finished anyway. Yeah, so when you have it, what do you get? When you have it, what do you get from that? Give me the word that you're struggling with. What's the word? What's the value? Yes, okay. So you have it, so then you write down what in your life demonstrates that that's every time on. Keep in mind, these things come very easily. Okay, you got it. Some of you have made incredible progress. That's wonderful. So we're going to move on to the next one. The next one that's coming to you is on a pink sheet. Yeah, this is actually intended to stimulate your So as I explained to you, this idea of values is not intended to be goals that you're setting for yourself, they're present already. So they are resources in your life. Knowing these things are present in your life become a thing that actually demonstrate that your life is working. That's what you want. You want your values there all the time, holding you up, supporting you, being those things that you have created your life to provide. What you're getting on this pink sheet is yet another way of looking at the same thing. All of us have skills, abilities, talents, gifts, things we're good at. And that's what this says. These are things that I like to do and I do well. I want you to write down the things that you're good at and that you do well, that you like to do. Now, now this is a skills list. You'll see halfway down the page it says knowledge list. So make the distinction here. These are things that I know a lot about. What do you know about? Write the things on the second half of the page that you know about, things that you have information about, that you have high knowledge of. That's what the second list is. Lisa, for example, understands beading. She is an exquisite beader. So she would write down under her knowledge list, or she could write it under skills actually, as a skill to do beading. That's a wonderful gift that she's developed in her life. So what else do you know how to do that's a skill? And where do you have a knowledge base? And if it goes on both lists, that's fine. The point that you're making with this list is that you have skills and abilities and knowledge. You have extraordinary things that you have as resources in your life because you've been paying attention and working on yourself. And they don't have to be classroom learned. It could be you're a good listener. That's a skill. It could be that you're very compassionate.
How about if we're a good eater?
That's a skill.
That's true. Good cooks. Write that down if you're a good cook. Write down if you're good at board games. Board games. Put it down.
That's a skill. Setting up a home.
Let's see if you can get 3 or 4 at least on each list.
Wine.
Around 2, it's been on back order. Around 2. When I get around to it.
Some of you I know are good supervisors. Some of you are very good at following instructions. Let's not pay attention to what we're not good at, okay? It's irrelevant to the process.
You're what, a good rebel? Write that down.
carefully you should. It's important.
So what this list that you're working on is about is your internal resources. Not a person in this room just raise their hand and say, I got no skills and no knowledge. All of you have skills, all of you have knowledge. But we forget. We forget all we know. We forget all we're able to do. We forget what we're good at. That's right. So the idea here is I want you to know that you have resources right where you sit. And if a certain need showed up, you can handle it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to external. There you go. Smell it.
Does it smell like chocolate?
If you sniff something, you activate your olfactory, then it actually improves the taste or strengthens the taste.
So you're getting the hot tea again on the light pink sheet. You're not done. You just got started. You just had a few minutes to think of some ideas. Your skill base, your knowledge base is much greater than what you do. If you take your classes at the center, you know more than most people on the planet about metaphysics. So you can write that down. There's lots of things you know. It doesn't mean you have to have a degree to write it down. It just means it's something you pay attention to a bit in your life. Okay? So the hot sequence, these are external resources. These are things beyond your physical person that support you in being here. The first one says these are models for my life. What could that be? What does a model look like? Okay, one. The idea of a model is somebody that has some quality that you admire. If you admire that person, what they bring to the world, that's in you. So there's a resonance there. The idea is, who are the models in your life for how they are, how you intend to be? Everybody's got them. They can be historical figures. They can be popular figures. They could be political figures, but I wouldn't understand. Do you know what you call a group of baboons?
Congress.
Congress. Isn't that bizarre? Okay. They could be a relative. There really could be a relative in your life that you admire so much for who they are in the world that they would be a model for you. I will share with you my models. Please don't copy them.
What about totem animals?
Over there. My first teacher's name was Ken Dyer. Ken Dyer is a model of my life. He teaches me to stay clearly focused on my path. Robert Schuller teaches me to see beyond the visible. Will Rockingbear, who teaches me to be impeccably aligned with everything I think, say, and do. And Gary Dahl. Anybody know who Gary Dahl is? Gary Dahl created the pet rock. Gary Dahl teaches me to create great wealth from a simple idea. I'm glad some of you remember that. Isn't that great? So who are your models? Who are your models? Think of them. Write them down. And then write what it is about them. What do they teach you by being who they are in the world? Or who they were in the world? You can write down any one you choose. Absolutely. No limitations.
No limitation. Unlimited.
I'm not sure that was helpful.
Abound. That sticks.
teach. These two can change. When I first did this over 30 years ago, Arnold Schwarzenegger was on mine. Took him off. Discipline. At the time, he was a bodybuilder, world champion, bodybuilder, and his level of discipline, even though he was crass, was brilliant to me, just brilliant. So I held him to the mold.
Is that because of him, doesn't
I don't want to talk about it.
Wise, Brenda, patient.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Barbara came by right tonight. I'm sorry.
My dog. To be patient.
I'll go find you.
I'm sure most of you at this point have at least two. Let's let that be enough for right now. Okay, we have much more to do. Let's talk about the bottom part of this sheet where it says these are the individuals and organizations from which I can draw support, encouragement, and inspiration. I think individuals and organizations is a bit limiting. Mine fall beyond that realm. Let me read you some of mine. Members and friends of Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. My practitioner corps. My religious science ministerial colleagues. The staff members and colleagues of Centers for Spiritual Living in Golden, Colorado. The wisdom keepers who guide and support me from beyond this physical realm. These are people and ideas on my list. I have lots of support. I'm supported all over the place. Where are you supported? Can you just think about a group of people or an individual that would support you in a heartbeat? You happen to mention the Barbers at the top of my list.
So some of these can also be on the top, is that correct? Is it possible that some of these people would also be on top?
They could, but this is going beyond your models. People that you could call if you were in a pinch or you just could think about. But you're right, those people at the top, I would repeat them down there. You've got them as models. Go ahead and figure out who other resources are for you. I want to pass out orange sheets. Please do not start writing on them yet. Because there's a typo on there that we're going to correct together. So don't write anything until everybody has their orange sheet. So let's review. Over the last few minutes, we've identified some extraordinary resources in your life. First of all, you have values, you have ideas, you have concepts that you've identified are important for how you live your life. And what you've done is you've begun to identify that they're there all the time, that you're experiencing love and peace and joy and harmony and integrity and whatever else is on your list all the time. You're going to keep developing that list and working it and making it real for you. Then you identify that you have already acquired some amazing things. You've acquired a knowledge base of certain things. You've acquired a sense of skills and abilities to do certain things. Some of you have degrees, some of you don't, but that doesn't matter. You have a skill base. You have things you can rely on. These are your internal things. Now you've looked at the fact that there are people that you hold up as models in your life, and you can look to them, even think about them. God, I remember when Gene Houston had Hillary Clinton thinking about Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And all she had to do was think about what would Eleanor do. And that was a resource in her life. Just thinking about it. So you have those people that are a resource in your life, plus everybody else that you put down that you could call or check in with or even just think about it. Then suddenly that would be a resource. You have amazing resources in your life. It's wonderful. So what are you going to do with all these resources? You've got to create something, right? So many of you have ideas of things you're going to want to do, but I'm really going to ask you to stretch over the next few minutes. So look at this form that you've received here, this orange sheet. It says, these are the most significant outcomes I will achieve for the remainder of my life. Now here's the typo. It says to the right, obtained by 2015 or later. Change that to 2019. It's supposed to say 2019. So nothing goes on this list if you expect to achieve it before 2019. Start with 2020. Only the things, I don't want to think that far out. Why do I have to think about that stuff? Anybody here planning on dying soon? And I want you to think about it. I want you to think, if you want to call this your bucket list, great. That's fine. But you can't do anything on this list, have it completed, until after 2020. It's going to stretch you to think about your life. What's out there that you want to accomplish? What's out there to achieve? It's way out there. What audacious, outrageous idea can you put on this list that you're going to do? So let's see, I'm 60, so I'll be 65 when my list is ready to go. What am I going to do? You know, that's easy. That's, you know, because 65, that's like a natural point in someone's life, the way our culture's set up. So what am I going to do after I'm 65? I'm going to go see some great things in the world. One of the things on my list is I'm going to meet the Dalai Lama. I've really known he's not going to die. Because I used to have Sai Baba on my list. No, it's not Sai Baba. Sai Baba on my list and he freaking died. That's okay. That's okay. Maybe in another life. But right now, I'm focused on things I'm going to do out there, and I'm trusting that the Dalai Lama is going to stay healthy, and so am I, and our paths are going to come together.
Are you specifying that it's this Dalai Lama?
Hey, I know what you're talking about. Another one that's on my list, but I've got it sooner than that, is to meet Muhammad Yunus again, one of the Nobel Peace Prize laureates. I actually met him once in this town. I bought his lunch one day. He wasn't a Nobel laureate at the time, but I have this clear intention I'm going to meet him again. We're going to sit down and chat and catch up on the last probably 18 years. So these are things I want to do. What do you want to do? How are you going to use your life? What are you going to accomplish? You're going to write a book? You're going to make an album? You're going to write a screenplay? What are you going to do? What are you going to do out there? Not now. Not now. There. What are the big things that are left undone in your life that you could do out there? Write them down. At least get started. And if you got nothing to write down, then I don't guarantee you're not going to do nothing. I did once have a woman say, I'm not planning on being alive in 5 years. Bless your heart. But that's the only excuse I can think for not doing this. We're going to do more. We're not done. Do this. Do this. This is a stretch. This is causing you to think outside the box. Think of something. You got plenty of things you're gonna do in the next few years. I wanna know what you can do out there. Laura just got mine, I heard her pop. Write some ideas down. Outrageous. Chinese people make plans for 500 years. You can make plans beyond 5. That's right, but you can be wiser. Write some stuff down, good for you. Stretch yourself.
But you can't do it up to 19.
And it's not part of this conversation, then don't write it down. This is, actually it's people that can think out, way out in their lives about things they're going to do, that tend to live long enough to do them. All the dates are wrong. I gave it to you out of the wrong file. Real quickly, that's why I had to. Okay, whatever you're getting there, keep going. If you've still got stuff flowing, there's a green sheet coming down. We have the same issue of the dates being inaccurate. But that just draws our attention to it, so it's a blessing. I'll let everybody get it before we start. Thank you for playing along and thinking way out there. Something not many Americans do. So the green sheet that you're receiving, it's working its way down the aisle. I know because many of you don't have them yet, you'll have to hear this again. But the point is that these are the significant outcomes you will achieve over the next 5 years. But there's a time element here that we want to correct. It's from 2015 to 2019. 2015 to 2019. That's your 5-year stretch. Count them all. 15, 16, 2017, 2018, 2019 is 5 years. That's on the green sheet, 2015 to 2019. So not this year, not this year. Starting next year through 2019, what are you going to accomplish? What are you going to create in your life? And by when? So you did the 2015 to 2019. Yeah, so that's what that line next to it is. You're saying by when you're going to have that done. You should have been doing that on the orange one too. I guess I didn't push that. But the orange list means nothing if you didn't put a time. You won't do it. I promise you, you won't do it unless you put a time it's done by. It's bizarre, but if you don't write that down, and it goes so against spiritual entry, so if you're thinking, this isn't the way we do it here, we do everything in the now moment. Yes, you do. And right now, you're creating an intention for the future. So put down on the right-hand column of your orange sheet, just the year, what year you're going to accomplish that. Doesn't matter what month, just what year. On the right-hand side of the orange sheet.
But it has to be a year after 2020.
Well, 2020 or later. And if you put 2020 on all of them, you don't really get the exercise. You know, push yourself. How you know, let's see, in 2023, I'll be 70. What am I gonna do when I'm 70 that's really cool? You know, that's the kind of stuff you wanna look at. No, it's not 2019, after 2019.
It says or, it says or.
Okay, well, let's make it 20, no, it needs to be 2020 then or later. 2020. Yeah. No, we're on, she's asking about the mortgage. Yeah, it really should say 2020 then, you're right. That's beyond the 5 years, you're absolutely right. Thanks for that.
Well, okay.
Sorry, just go with it, make it 2020. You know, and so on your orange sheet, stay with it for a second and let me ask you, who has something to 2025? A kid right there. You're the youngest person in the room. Now, I don't want to know it, it's all right, I'm not asking. I want to know how many, it's only 3 of you went out as far as 2025, 3, 4? Okay, yeah, how many 2030s? Yeah, you guys need to look out there. What's out there for you? Not tonight, but you know, make yourself a note on this. Let's stretch this thing. What are you going to do? Are you going to have a vibrant life when you're 70 years old? Are you going to have an interesting life when you're 80? Are you going to do something? Or no, maybe you're not. Maybe it's time to be in a convalescent. But that's how you end up in it because you can't think in the idea that you can have a productive, vibrant life at 80. People who have those lives are thinking outside the box, I guarantee you. They are. This is your chance, Lisa.
When Shiloh graduated with his PhD, there was a person in his graduating class who was 87.
87, got a PhD. There you go. One of my favorite stories is when somebody was in their 40s and they wanted to be a doctor. And said, well, go be a doctor. Yeah, but I'm in my 40s. By the time I get through my basic training and get into medical school, I'll be 50. And by the time I get through my internship, I'm going to be close to 60. And the answer was, what are you going to be anyway? Yeah, you're going to be 60 anyway, right? Why not do what you want to do? So what do you want to do? So now we're into this green sheet, 5 years. What are you going to accomplish in the next 5 years? Maybe there's some things that you would put on this list that you'd want to do before you do those things on the longer list. Maybe. You know, they don't have to be all disconnected. There could be something that you want to do before you do that. Maybe there's a book you want to write before you write that other one that you wrote about on the orange sheet. You know, where you gain more knowledge. Prepare yourself for your grand success. Keep writing. Don't let me stop. So you're receiving a bright yellow piece of paper. This is the last color. That is the correct response. You got purple the first one. You've forgotten, it's been so long. So let's talk about the yellow sheet. I hope you've written something on the green sheet and the orange sheet, or the whatever color that is. The yellow sheet is for what you're going to do in the next 5 months. It's the end of July. You got August, September, October, November, and December. What are you going to achieve in those months? Now, I've given you space for 6 of them. It doesn't have to be 6. Don't feel pressure. It's what fit nicely on the page. If you have 1 or 2 or 3 things that are outrageous that you'd like to achieve this year, great. Write them down and write what month they will be achieved by. Again, don't set yourself up and write December. What can you still do this year? And then below that it says, this is what I'm doing today to create these outcomes. It's not about the outcomes on this page alone. It's about all the outcomes on the orange, all the ones on the green, and the ones on the yellow. What are you doing now to create? There's something to do now. Visioning, mind mapping, what do you call that when you put the pictures?
Vision board.
Vision boarding, treatment work, affirmations are just starting points on some of this. What are you doing now?
Okay. I know you.
And then the last one there is, this is what else I'm beginning now to create these outcomes. What are you doing to make this real?
From the fall.
I like outrageous, but it can, whatever calls to you, to achieve in your life. It's wonderful to think outside the norms. I think you could easily put down, find another ring. Yeah, really, start a jewelry company, really. Whatever works, whatever you want to put down. Finding cash, that's outrageous. General public has to do something. So what we've done tonight is begun a process. What I've observed over the years, because I've been teaching this class for a long time, is that some people will do it, and then some people won't. Some of you will just take this stuff and put it in a pile somewhere, or throw it in the trash when you leave, and that's okay, I don't care. But some of you will actually pick this back up and work these sheets, and work them, and bring them to life, to where the things that you're writing down are actually getting energy and beginning to form. You will do things, if you're willing to stay with this process, that will change your life forever. I invite you to give that a go. And if it doesn't work for you, bless you for putting up with this tonight. Otherwise, if you really want to have a compelling life, this is a pathway. So stay with it. Rewrite it again and again. Type it up. Put it somewhere where you have to look at it regularly. Make it part of your spiritual practice. If you do, the things you're writing down will surely come true. You've been a wonderful, wonderful classmate. I'm honored and blessed to have been with you. Thank you for
So, how many of you are not a member of the Center for Spiritual Living Asheville? Boy, is this your lucky day. If you would like to be a member, we happen to be accepting members in August. We don't do it all the time, so it's a great thing to do. And if you would like to fill among us. We are as healthy as the healthiest among us, as wealthy as the wealthiest among us, and we are just all happy. So if you would like one of these cards, we'll tell you about this great class that we have on Saturday, August 16th, and you can come. There's no requirement that you be a member. You may just think we're crazy, but I think by now you think we're on to something. So if you want one of these cards, raise your hands and John will pass it.
Yay! There you go. There you go.
Those of you who are members, throw out a word that membership means to you.
Joy. This is ecstatic. I'm loving this.
Community.
Family.
Oh.
Family. Growth. Support.
Prosperity.
Home. Prosperity. Commitment.
Love.
Who else got their hand up? There it is. I'm coming.
Passion. We are, I think, the best group of people around. And we travel all over. But I think that we have more healings, more breakthroughs, more demonstrations, that we have more happy people per capita and than any other organization or any group of people anywhere. So when you become a part of that and you actually align, you get a shift in consciousness that lifts you up, and I'm delighted. Because it is my intention that anyone who calls me teacher prospers and thrives and heals and grows. So I gotta ask you, those of you who call me teacher, are you ready?
Yes!
Are you ready to have vibrant physical health?
Yes!
Are you ready to have wonderful, honest, loving, nurturing relationships?
Yes!
Are you ready to have more money than you know what to do with?
Yes!
Are you ready to look at something and watch it come into form?
Yes!
Then I gotta say, the time is now. Up out of your chairs.
Know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word, which I speak in faith knowing, now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. I bless all the others in the Think and Grow Rich program of our center, and I know that we now prosper together in every way. I give thanks for this good, and so it is.
Ready to give. We've got the energy to give. So take out what you're going to give. Does anybody need a moment? Yes. You're ready to give. Always be ready to give. I am just so ready. I am so ready. I'm so ready to have money fall out of the sky. I'm so ready to be surrounded by people who are millionaires. I'm so ready for all of us to live the rich, blessed life, to have instantaneous healing, instantaneous demonstrations, the Midas touch. Are you?
Yes!
Get up out of your chairs. There's no resting. We're going to do it again.
I know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word, which I speak in faith knowing, now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all